Good evening. A very warm welcome. Here it is, Monday night, 8 p.m. The Online Darts Live Lounge returns for episode 248. Myself, Phil Bars, and Dan Simpson here this evening. How are we, one and all? Dan, how are we doing, buddy?
I'm all right, mate. I'm okay. It's been I've had a busy day. Like, I spoke to you in between. I think there was about 4 minutes today that I wasn't in meetings at work, and which I did do the credit. I gave that up to you, that 4 minutes. So, but no, I've been busy at work today. I've got a busy day tomorrow. I'm traveling about. I'm in a hotel in Manchester tomorrow. So it's been all right. But last weekend was good. Plenty of sport on. Did a bit in the house. All right, just ticking over really. How have you been? You've had a busy few days as well, haven't you? You've been streaming all afternoon as well, haven't you?
Yeah, we've been streaming all day. Luke Humphrey sent out a real statement of intent today on the Pro Tour. But I suppose the question is, look, first of all, last week, well done, one and all. We didn't get cancelled when I came back. The YouTube channel was still there, which was...
Oh, in fairness, Philip, it wasn't far from it. I mean, there were some moments. In fairness, I said it last week, like, we were unsupervised, like, we were left unsupervised, and it I wouldn't say we went off the rails, but we were certainly clinging to the rails at points. we were clinging on for dear life, I think, to keep this both even loosely related to darts and appropriate for, not adults but humans to listen to. We did all right. Yeah, got there in the end. We're still here. We're back for another week.
This is what happens. I have one
minus one though. I think I said we're back. We are back -1. I think he's got PTSD from last week. I think he's not got over it.
The chat room is rammed already. Kay, how are we doing, buddy? Fraser, hopefully it'll be a cracking show, my friend. Good to have you in. Owen, how are we doing? Mark, always a pleasure, buddy. Paul is in. How are we doing? Shouty, Warren, Malachi, how we do? Dave is in. Bobsy, how we doing, buddy? Stu, I know this is your last one for a while because you're off working again, mate. Pleasure to have you in as always, wee man. James is in. Daniel is in. Liam, how we doing, mate? It says Dan's looking dapper. We'll come on to that in a second. Rob, how we doing, my friend? Kelly is in. Chris, good evening. So, judging by your attire, you've dressed for the occasion.
You've lost me. This is just something I chucked on when I come out the shower. What's the occasion?
We are going to be joined by Mr. Matthew Edgar, Mr. Primetime.
Of course, Mr. Matthew.
Around 9 o'clock, give or take. He's got something on first, and then he is coming in with us to discuss quite a lot.
The only man in Britain, of course, who owns more Matt Edgar shirts than me, and I'm still not sure whether he does. I don't know. It could go either way, that one. That could be cuspy. Yeah, excited. Looking forward to that. Good guess, especially, it's just the two of us tonight, so it's nice to get an extra, a different voice on. And it's always good to have Matt on and to have a chat with him because with Matt, you get so many different angles. You get the player, you get the fan, you get the pundit, you get every element of somebody's view on the world of darts. So it's always good to have Matt along.
Yeah, well, 100%. I don't know if he's put it out there yet, so I won't ruin it. But his announcement, I'm interested to see his take on it because I'm sure he's got 3 answers depending on what hat he's got on, whether he's got his hat on, his pundit hat, and his fan hat on, and so on. So I'm interested in that. He has, right? Yeah, I didn't know if he put it out there or whatever. So I didn't want to ruin it, but obviously we'll talk about that when he comes on. Look, first of all, let's go to it. The Premier League is all done and dusted, and like a lot of people feared, Sheffield is a dead rubber. There is nothing on Sheffield at all.
It was close as well. Let's be honest, we got as close as we could get to there being at least something to play for. And I feel like it was on, like I certainly felt. I mean, last week, interesting enough, like last week was the week that I thought everything is, within reason. Everything's back on the table, everything's in play. Johnny beating Gezi in the first round in Leeds, Humphreys making it through to the final, and I thought, like, game on, like this. There is something to play for. We are going to the wire, and then Birmingham, like, the night started and I fancied it, and Shan beat Josh Rock, and then you think, oh, like it, and then it just the only way really we could have got through those games where it was dead, it sort of happened, exactly that way, and we've said, haven't we, for 15 weeks, there is no way on earth that Luke Humphreys don't win one. There's just no way. No one was prepared to accept it. And, well, Jar was, which is, again, perhaps why he's maybe not present with us. But, yeah, it's just a bit flat. And I feel like we nearly got it. We were really close to having something to play for. And that's all anybody, I think, has wanted from this format, is that, coming into the last night, we want games to mean something, especially if, when you're going to have a shootout between fourth and fifth, like it just, you want it to mean something, don't you? You want that game, or you want any game to mean something, but certainly when you've got, one in and one out, you want the possibility to be there. So yeah, it's a bit of a shame. I feel like, and we'll talk about it a lot over the next couple of weeks probably, but how, and you might buy into this, right, as a Spurs fan, right? But a lot of people, when in the football world, and we are a darts podcast, so stick with me, but a lot of people in the football world have said that, like, even if Arsenal win the league this year and you get a bit of a change, it's been quite a forgettable season in the Premier League. Like, even if Arsenal win, it's been a bit forgettable. Virtually everything has been a bit underwhelming. And all the good stuff seems a little bit far away. Like, it seemed like everything interesting happened at the beginning of the season, and we sort of limped to the end, and everyone's a little bit like, "Oh, can we just get to the World Cup now and then reset for next year?" And I feel like this year, like, the Premier League of darts has underwhelmed a little bit. I think we've had good moments in it, but you can't have the best Premier League matches of all time every year. Like, it does. You get years that are better than others, and until you get in there and until you're underway and you see how everybody's playing and performing. But I feel like it'll be a Premier League year that we sort of look back on and remember that it happened, and we'll remember who the winner was. But I think a lot of the rest of it will be a little bit forgettable.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like, we've only had 1-9 data in the Premier League, and we seem to have seen the matchups boring the hell out of us, and so on. And yeah, look, I agree with you. It will be forgettable. Look, I'm sure finals night will be epic.
No, and that's it. There are years.
It's a longer format. People are then engaged. But if you ask me what happened in Nottingham, not a clue.
No, and there are years where, there are years of the Premier League, and it is even people like me and you that, like, you have to properly rack your brains to remember who was there. And then someone pulls a name out and you go, Christ, yeah, was he there that year as well? And I feel like this might be one of those, just a year that sort of happened. And, don't get me wrong, I think, yeah, finals night could be electric. Of course, the winner, it's a huge deal. But I just think, yeah, it's fallen a little bit. And perhaps, like, maybe it is a little bit, and we have to think about this a little bit, because the last couple of years in darts has been, like, pretty special. So, those last couple of years when we've had, like, Littler and Humphreys winning, obviously Van Gerwen picked it up the year before. We've had some quite, both. I feel like both of those were big news. When Littler won it, it was massive news. Humphreys winning it was big news. Yeah, so just those guys getting, those two, and I know not because of their talent, but because of the story, like, those guys getting to finals night is a big story, and there's lots of intrigue, and it's made the Premier League a lot more interesting. And I feel like it was missing a bit of something this year. We didn't see those huge electric performances. It hasn't gone down to the wire. It's been good. I've enjoyed it, but it's not got me going as much as it certainly usually does.
No, I agree. And there's some really good chatting here in the chat room as well. Jacob, nice to have you in, buddy. Just out of interest, obviously, he says, lads, first time I'm going to the Darts Live and it's on Thursday. Do you care that the table is, as a fan that is going on Thursday, do you care that the table is all done and dusted, or are you looking forward to seeing that tournament on Thursday? I'm interested to see from someone that is going, I'm interested to see their perspective, whether they actually really care that the table is done, or whether they're just looking forward to seeing it. Also, I know Warren says best result we could get, surely this forces the PDC to change things up. Warren, first of all, mate, nothing forces the PDC to change stuff. If they want to change it, they'll change it. If they don't, they will stick. We've seen that for years and years with the World Cup. How long were we saying for everyone we want pairs all the way through and so on? That nothing will force them to do anything, mate. Look, do I like this format? No. But if the numbers back it up commercially, they'll stick with it. Look, do I think it will change next year? Yes, I do. To what is another show altogether. But yes, I think it will change.
I think it's a really interesting question. And a couple of people have mentioned in the chat room there that, if you're in there, it's be cracking. And I tend to, I really like the format if you've got tickets to the venue. Like, if you've got tickets to the venue, I think it's cracking. And I think if you go with a group of pals or take the missus, or you go to watch it live, I think you can see like a little tournament and you get the experience. Because again, for a lot of people, and let's make no bones about it, like, for a lot of people, the Premier League is the one time of year that they go to darts in person, and it may be only the one of two times in the year that they watch darts, because they might watch the World Championships and they might watch the Premier League when it's in their town. So there is a lot of casual fans there. So giving the casual fans an experience of watching a tournament, like it is, and all of those purists, because again, if you're in the chat room, and you are probably like us, like you are a real darts fan, and it's difficult to put yourselves and view it through the eyes of somebody else sometimes. But when you're in the venue and you can just close off from everything and think, like, these are 8 of the best players in the world, and I'm going to watch them play a little tournament with each other. That's pretty fucking cool. And it's quite a cool, and I think I'm working away all week, so I'm not sure I will. I might be able to see Thursday. I might, depends where I am on the evening, but I won't be like, if for whatever reason I don't get to watch Thursday live, I'm not going to be breaking my heart. I'm not going to be thinking like, oh God, I'm going to miss that. Like, but if someone said to me, there's a ticket, you're going, I would have I'd enjoy it. I'd be excited about it, because I think this is a good thing to watch and enjoy. It's difficult, isn't it? Because it's, once again, that it's on TV and no one's going to force anyone to watch it. But there's thousands and thousands of people that are going to turn up and watch it live, and they'll probably have a really good night.
Now, I fully appreciate, and it's been said in the chat room, that technically, if you want to put the spin on it, as I'm sure the marketers will when we see graphics released on Thursday and so on, who finishes third and who finishes fourth is technically still something to play for. Do you buy into that, or are you, as a fan, are you not worried who finishes third and who finishes fourth? And do you think the players will be? Do you think Gezi and Luke Humphreys care?
So the short answer is no, but the real answer is, I think if it was other players, different players, then they might. I think if it was different players, I think perhaps if it wasn't Gezi Price and Luke Humphreys, then other players might care. They might look at who they're going to play and what the bracket looks like, and whether they finish in third or fourth, and what that means on finals night. I honestly think neither of those players will. I think Luke Humphries looks at that 4 and thinks, I've got to beat two of the other 3. I think Gezzy's exactly the same. I think they've both done too much, won too much, been around the block too many times, that neither of those players care. They should make a deal of it on Sky. Like, Sky should push it.
And we are pleased because I'm going to do this. Hello, Mr. Edgar. Prime time is in the house, and it's a good time to get him in because we're debating darts. How are we doing, buddy? You good?
Yeah, we're all good, all good. Just finished a coaching session, so perfect timing.
Love that, mate. Love that. We're talking on the Premier League. We'll come on to your bits in a second, but where are you? Is this the nail in the coffin for this format?
I think we've had the same debate for years, haven't we? Like, there's been always this argument of, is it good for the fan in the venue? Is it good for the fan at home? But do you know what? Do I hate it? I genuinely don't hate it. I just wish there was a little bit more jeopardy to it. I wish there was relegation. I wish there was other rules. Like, if you finish bottom of the Premier League, that's it. Can't play next year. Like, you're out. Doesn't matter what you go and do. You know, you can win the Champions League, but if you're in the bottom 3, you're relegated. And I'd like to see some things like this coming into play, just to add that little bit more story. And hi, everyone, by the way. I've got the chat here. I can see you all. So hello. Hope you're well.
No, look, I thought you'd say that. Right, let's jump in. Your announcement is out there. Prime time is going back to Vegas.
Hey.
Any excuse. It could have been Tiddlywinks, so I'd have took it up. Like, any reason to go to Vegas? Yes, absolutely.
Now, I've got a couple of bits on this because we've done quite a few of these sit downs where you were like, I'll dip in and out, but you won't see me in a major again. That's not part of it. Yeah, I might play the odd tournament here and there. However, you're going to the second biggest major within the WDF system. So first of all, there's a couple of bits on this. One, what made you say yes? And 2, is the wrist and the game in such a good place now that you can do this properly? Not just go and make the numbers up, but Matt Edgar believes he can go and lift the title.
Yes, I do. I wouldn't do it if I didn't. That's what I had to ask myself. And I've worked on my throw a lot, as we've spoke sort of on and off camera. And, you know, the tournaments I've been to over the last year or so, they have been very sporadic, but they have been chances for me to test out the throw. So I've changed the grip on my dart to be deeper on the barrel. I'm now using my shoulder a lot more as part of the throw. You know, if we look at the throw in general, there's 3 joints in play all the time. We've got the shoulder, the elbow, and the wrist. Now, the elbow is a hinge joint, which means it can only open and close. And the shoulder, ball and socket, and the wrist of a condyloid joint. So they're the things that are going to give us the movement and the rotation. So I looked at this and I thought, right, okay, I'm going to try moving the movement off the wrist and put it into the shoulder. And I've done that. And out the times I've gone out and played, I'm running at a 12-month average of around about 87, just underneath. I've got some peaks of 102, 105. I've had some 98s in there. The thing that I've lacked is consistency. So I know that I can go and beat the best players on this tour. But can I beat the best players on this tour in round 1, in round 2, in round 3? At that point in time, no. Right now, I would say no. But I've got 6 weeks or so. And one thing we know is when I do something, I'm able to commit to it completely fully. And that's what I'm doing. Yes, I've still got all my commitments. I wanted to go play a tournament beforehand. That's what I was trying to put into place. But it's impossible because I'm doing a Euro tour in a couple of weeks. I'm doing a Pro Tour. I'm doing the Super Series. I'm doing the Women's Series. So out of the 6 weekends I've got, I'm busy for 5 of them. So it's impossible in ours to just get out there and play. However, I've spoke to a lot of players. So Paul Lewis, who's also going to the Masters, is going to come down every Monday night, and we're going to be practicing down here. I spoke to a couple of other players as well. Some of them don't want to be part of the vlog because of, you know, different reasons. But in general, I'm going to be meeting up with players so I can get pacing, because that's what I'm playing the darts of my life here. But that's me throwing darts, collecting. I don't have the pacing of a game. So I'm going to be meeting up with a lot of people so I can get that pacing right. And I think I'll be ready. I really do. No one's going to want me on their board. I can guarantee that. By the time it comes around, the seeded players that have traveled the tour, that have worked hard for this event, they don't want my name next to theirs. I guarantee you that.
A couple of bits off of this. One, how did this come about? Because I remember you were like, I need to try and get myself there. I need to try and win something. And you haven't. So how has this all come about?
So I've got an invitation coming from England Darts, which is superb. You know, very, very appreciative of that. And I think as soon as it came through as an actual invitation, it was like, I can't not try and make this work. I've had to move things around. I'm meant to be calling Champions Week, the Super Series. I don't land back in England till Monday. So Champions Week starts on Monday. So I've had to speak to the Super Series about missing a couple of days of Champions Week. I had coaching sessions booked in, I had meetings booked in. I have had to move a lot to make this happen. So it looked like it was pretty much an impossible task. But I said to Paul at England Darts, I says, give me a week. Let me see what I can do. And I've somehow managed to make it fit. So it's exciting. Like I am excited. I've got a purpose. You know, I've been in the gym since I've said this because I've hit a weight that I've never weighed before in my life, and I'm like, I've got to be fit. This is in the summertime in Vegas. It's going to be hot. I need to be fit. So part of the vlogs that I'm going to be doing, I'm also going to be monitoring my weight. I'm going to be talking about the training I'm doing. I'm taking this seriously. I'm not going for fun.
Right. You know what I'm going to ask you here. And by the way, before I ask you this, I love the fact that you've got an invite, by the way, because I think it adds something to the tournament. However, I know you're going to put your two head on here. Obviously, one, you're delighted that you've got the invite. If you were a player that had done that tour and slogged it out and didn't get an invite, would you have the right ump right now?
No. Invitations are still available. I've seen Paul's posts out on Facebook. If people really want them, go get them. Like, it's easy to sit around and complain, or it's easy to sit around and ask for something. Like, go get it. Go and get those positions. They are there. They're available. If they want to go, put your case forward. Go put that case forward and go get in there. People should be queuing for this opportunity. I should not be given an invitation. People should have been banging the door down to get these invites or to get these opportunities. They are missing the chances. I'm not going to miss that opportunity.
Like I say, I like the fact that you're in there, by the way, but I just thought, because I know you like to put both hats on Now, if you were to go and win, which I'm not ruling out, by the way, because I've been on that board with you and seeing some of the numbers when we had a little chuck and that, you winning, would that be the worst nightmare for the WDF? Because you're just going to go off into the sunset with their second biggest major.
Yeah, it'll be two things. I think one thing it'll do straight away is it will put a little bit of short-term interest on it, because it would be a great story. It really would, especially the fact that I'm journeying this for 6 weeks, going from a cold start, and showing you all the things I'm going to be doing. I think it's a really good thing inside the coverage, but I also don't know what comes after this. That's the downside on the WDF side. That being said, I win that. All of a sudden, I've got an invite to Lakeside. So then, do I go right? I'm going to down tools a little bit, and I'm going to be on the dartboard. I'm going to do this seriously for a few, because right now I can honestly say, if anything goes wrong, it's not because of the injuries or the nerve damage or the things I've had, because I've got the feeling back in my hand. Like the time I've had away, the work I've had done, I reckon if I wanted to, I could play a lot more darts now. The problem is I've just filled my diary with 400 days worth of work, and there's only 365 days in a year. So it makes it a bit tricky. So who knows? The main thing is, you know me, I'm open-minded to things. I'm very open-minded. I'll take each day as it comes. I'm nearly 40. I'm not going to pass up opportunities. So it's just, we'll keep an open mind and see where it goes.
So there is then an opportunity or a real chance that this could be the catalyst that restarts. Like, do you see, when you think, and you talk about, well, there's a possibility you could get to the lakeside, you could think about committing more time to it. Is there still a route in your head that has Matt Edgar full-time dart player and everything else just gets pushed down the road a few years? Because you can come back to that. Is there still part of you that thinks that could be a route?
I've never been able to stay away yet. That's the main thing. And I can't stay away because I love it. I love darts and I love competing. That's the biggest problem. I think if I got to the point where I just could never play darts, I'd take up poker or tiddlywinks or something, because I just need something in my life that's competitive. Full time, absolutely not. In the way darts is right now, no. And the reason for that is because I've lost the mentality. Now, the mentality you need in darts is all around, I'm going to it and I might not get anything here. I now live in a world where when I leave my house and I'm away for a week or I'm away for 4 days or however long I'm away for, I know that at the end of it, I'm getting paid. You go away for darts, you've put all the effort in, weeks of practice, you've gone to the tournament, you've played well, you've lost. I've now lost money. And I don't want that lifestyle back. So while darts exists in that capacity, I don't think I could do it. Especially now, like I bought a house now. Like I've grown up and I've got a mortgage and things. Like I've got to be selective. I've got to be sensible with it. I understand I live a very good life right now. Like I live a very privileged life in regards to what I've got, and I kind of don't want to give that up. And I'd have to. I think
it's quite refreshing for someone to like. It's common sense, isn't it? It is. It unfortunately, the way that darts is structured, there is a huge amount of risk, and we've had this conversation in loads of different ways. And the answer is always the same when we've talked about tour card holders coming from abroad and or taking the risk of coming and embarking on Q school over here, and it's the same real problem that it exists right across the board, doesn't it? That in order to commit full-time completely to it, the level of risk is so high that there are lots of people that they have mortgages, they have families, they have a responsibility to people around them that doesn't allow them to just roll that dice.
I mean, I've been around professional darts now for 14 years. Either as a player or in a punditry capacity. And the one thing that I can say is for every one person that's been successful, there's probably 15 to 20 others that are still paying off debts now and credit card bills because they rolled the dice and it didn't pay off. And it's a gamble. It is a gamble. Having the ability is one thing, but then having the ability under that sort of pressure and that sort of scrutiny is a completely other kettle of fish. We're seeing, players at the top level, because you're never safe. You've always got to reprove yourself, reestablish yourself, redo it every single day. And, as soon as you come out of that lifestyle, you realize that you don't want to go back in. When you go into it the first time, it's great. Like, oh, I'm all guns blazing. I'm in. But I've got to the point now, I do like a day off a year.
I'm going to be careful how I word this. We talk about lifestyle a lot, and we all know that it's a certain lifestyle that you have to do, that most people have to do to play darts in terms of
okay, I get you.
Preparation before a dart is thrown.
Yep.
Practicing, yeah. One, can you put your body through that again, or are you going to try and do it with less preparation before a dart is thrown?
I've never been one who needs too much more than physical preparation on a match day. Yeah, I've always been someone who can just sort of play in. The biggest danger for me is the fact of when I do play, I don't stop. Like I start playing in the morning and that's it. I play through till I'm beaten with that. So my danger would be physical preparation rather than anything else. But I think I've got the right routines and things to help me with that now. I'm not going to make the same mistakes. So, but yeah, I don't think that's something that worries me too much.
No, that's nice to hear, to be fair, because obviously we see the players that when they stop, their body recovers from the abuse it takes. And I remember Mace talking about it when he went back into playing the seniors. It was more, can I put my body through this again more than anything? Like that's really refreshing to hear.
Yeah, it's a very fair point. It really is, and it's something that a lot of people have to consider. As you get older as well, you can just get a little bit sicker of it. You know, you get a bit of an acidy reflux. You know, you get all these different. You get headaches. You know, so absolutely, especially a week-long event. But yeah, it's not something that I traditionally rely on.
On that physical side, Matt, like how hard is it to go for, when you're playing darts and that's your full-time profession, you're playing darts all the time, you're playing every tournament, when you're on the tour, and you are used to, the physical side of that game, which I still think is complete. I've never done it, but I think it's underappreciated. Where the casual fan thinks that physically, the challenges that dart players have to go through. How difficult or how quickly does that go away? When you stop and you start sitting in a chair for, to do other tasks and to do different things, and then you try and go back to which I know you've done. You have some time off and then you'll go play a tournament. How difficult is it? How quick does that sort of callousness on your body disappear and it becomes tough to get back up and do it?
Great question. Reversibility kicks in very quickly. Let's look at the very top end of the game. When we used to have the Masters in January and players would go away and there weren't the World Series and all these events, the performances at the Masters was often a little rusty, a few missed opportunities. And that's at elite level. You miss a dart, you miss two darts, you add a bit onto you. At my sort of level, you'll probably miss an extra throw. It does make a difference. Absolutely. It's more to do with the mind as well. Like when you're playing, you want to get lost in the game. And when you've sort of been away for it a little bit, you kind of don't have that same, I get lost in sort of the focus of the match. You're sort of a little bit of a bystander of it. You can get distracted by things, multi-board system. Oh, what's going on over there? What's he doing? What's that? Oh, what's happening? And you can sort of get drawn into the room a lot more than just your game. That's where I think it affects them a lot as well, sort of in the mentality. Because in these venues, in these sort of environments, when there's so many matches going on, you've got to have that blinkered vision and just sort of home in on your board and your bit, I've played events where people are sort of walking across you. You've just sort of got to have the arm out and out the way. But you've got to get into that state where the only thing matters is you and your game. And that's what I'd say lacks the most when you've been away.
Interesting.
Wow. It's nice. And I like this thought process behind this all. And are you going to play in all the events over there, or are you just targeting the Masters, or is it see how the body is?
Yeah, so I mean, the first thing is the WDF's organised an unbelievable deal with the hotel. I went to WrestleMania, wrestling, first reference of the night.
Yes, we were very jealous, both of it. Both Philip and I were very jealous.
So I went to WrestleMania, and I paid more in resort fees for the WrestleMania trip than I'm paying for the hotel. They've done an unbelievable deal. No resort fees. It's like £309, and I'm going for the entire week. So I'm absolutely going to be there for the whole week.
Yeah.
Now, I've always wanted to play a cricket tournament. I've been looking at tournaments over in America where I was going to travel over just to play cricket. So this is like a dream for me that I'm going to play in a tournament in America, in Las Vegas, in cricket. So that's brilliant. The Masters is Tuesday, Wednesday. I absolutely will be playing the Lakeside qualifier. That is an absolute given. And the World Open is probably the one at the moment where I'll likely play it. But if anything's going to go, it's going to be that one. But I say I get carried away with things very quickly and very easy. Like if I do well in the Masters, all of a sudden that's it. I'll be in the hotel room booking flights to every other country, and I'll be off trying to get into Lakeside. You know, my mind just does that to me. I can't help it. But it's I just love darts. That's the problem. You never lose being a fan. I think that's the main thing. Like, it doesn't matter what job you have in this sport, you're always a fan, whether as a player, a pundit, whatever it is. I just love it.
I've got a probably the most important question about this announcement. And as the person in Britain that I think owns just potentially slightly less Matt Edgar shirts than you, it could be close. Have you already started to think about what we could be seeing in Vegas?
It's already done. Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah. Oh, I don't mess around. Like,
this is the thing.
I make a decision and that's it. Like,
you're in.
I'm all in. Yeah. Like, it's sink or swim. Like, I don't do anything by halves. The design is already done. Oh. I've got it going into the printers tomorrow.
That's great news.
The design is unbelievable. It's I can give you a bit of a so the design is going back to sort of Hulk Hogan again, but we're going a little bit NWO. And it's full of Easter eggs. The shirt is full of Easter eggs. So
we should look forward to that.
It's a well thought out shirt.
Edgar 316.
So there are some really good ones. You know, I've got the Ultimate Edgar, Macho Man. You know, I've got loads of really good sort of shirts in mind, but I kind of want to save one of those for like a world championship, because I do want to play in another one day. Don't care where it is, don't care what venue, but I'd love to play in another world championship.
We get Edgar 316 says, I just kicked your ass.
Listen to me talking here. Like, I'm going to play in a world championship. I played 2 tournaments in about 18 months. Yeah, I'm going to play the world championship.
Save your best ideas. Keep them. Keep your powder dry. Keep them up your sleeve. Like, there's still time.
Ever the dreamer.
I'm just pleased that we're getting to see something. Something NWO themed is quite cool. I got a shirt. That was my birthday last week. I got an NWO t-shirt for my birthday. It was, if you weren't on the show tonight, Matt, that's what I would have had. I would have been NWO'd up tonight, but I thought I would raid the cupboards for something more appropriate.
Yeah, good selection of shirts there, I say. Yeah, like it.
So I'm interested. Obviously, what was Jodie's reaction when you went, I'm going to Vegas to play darts?
She was a driving force for me doing it. Like,
that's good to hear. I like that.
Yeah. So she's on my back all the time because she sees me having a practice at home. Because do you know what? I'm probably throwing more darts at home than I ever have now. But some of that's because she's working from home now. So like when she's there, I'll just be chatting to her and I'll be throwing darts. And I'm always doing the old hinks, 180, 180. And I'm doing it like every 3 to 5 minutes. I'm hitting a 180. And she's like, please go playing something. Please go playing something. And I'm like, well, I can't because I'm doing this, I'm doing that, do this. And then she's like, I'd love to see how you'd get on. And then this came up and she was like, do it. And I'm like, yeah, but like, Joe, do it. Like, and I've got 3 things, do it. And she was on my back so much to do that. So yeah, she wants me to play more than I think I want me to play. So that makes it handy.
Is she going with you? Is she going to have a play out there as well?
She might be going. She was trying to get the time off with work, so we'll see how that goes, because she's still doing a job till like November. So if she gets time off, then she might be coming. If not, I'll be out on my own. So but either way, there for the darts. Like, and Top Golf's good.
I like that. Obviously, I watch your TikToks and so on whilst we're talking about the equipment and whatever. And I remember you saying once that you'd never use a molded flight and stem. And now we see you using a molded flight and stem. Is this here to change? And what's the catalyst to that change? Because I remember you were adamant that you'd never use one.
I don't like the system, to be perfectly honest. But the problem is there's only so many presses for the machines to punch the flights. And the problem with the slims is they're not quite wide enough for me at the moment. Now, the system I'm using is a wing slim, which is a slim but a little bit wider. So it gives me a little bit more wingspan. So it makes the dart sit exactly how I want it, and it allows me to grip the way that I want to grip the dart and put the shoulder into it. So at the moment, it's the only thing I can use because there's no, and we've looked into at Mission, seeing about getting the press for the machine so that they can put it in, but just to get the tooling done for it is going to be about £45,000 just to get the tooling to make the flight shape. So you can imagine that the option of using a molded, they're a lot happier with than making a £45,000 press for me, for the fact that I might play darts 2 or 3 times a year. So
yeah. That's another inspiration. Though. If you go and win the Masters, then you might that increases your bargaining power, surely.
Yes.
To go back to the table and for a press like that's that's a perfectly good use of that swag that you'll be able to claim.
I'd like this comment here actually. Johnny's saying I can't get older when you wing slims. You can't, because I've got them all. They're all here.
All sold out.
They come in and they go straight to me. Like, I've got them all. I've got stacks of them.
I love that, and it's great to see you back playing, and that smile is there, which is great, because I know that we've had plenty of sit downs and conversations and umming and ahhing and what you're going to do, what you're not going to do. So I'm a massive fan of this. So yeah, it's good to see you back with that smile.
See how long it lasts. You start losing, you don't smile as much. But yeah, I'm really excited for it. That's the main thing. And I think in the past I've made mistakes. I've made mistakes. Like when I went to Lakeside, I was adamant in my head that was going to be it, and I played it like it was a conclusion. And you should never play anything like it's the end or like it's conclusion. And I made a massive mistake with that. I went in there with the wrong attitude. The whole time I was doing that system and the tour and the WDF, it was a big mistake on my part in how I approached it, because every time I went somewhere, it was almost, and I was going to tournaments and like, right, 3 more months, and that's it. I don't have to do this no more. And what I realized was actually when I didn't have these deals and things in place and I didn't have to do it anymore, I actually wanted to. And that's a big difference when you have to do something or you want to do something. And now whenever you see me play, I'm playing because I want to play. I'm going because I want to go to something. And it's a big, big difference.
Is there a balance there, Matt, between the sort of being able to focus and motivate yourself and be there fully present, but at the same time, being able to play without the pressure that you haven't played with previously, because this isn't your only source of income. You've got lots of other things going on. So is it difficult to balance, because you're always going to know in the back of your mind somewhere that, well, if it all doesn't go wrong, if it all goes wrong, you've got all these other things as well. Is it difficult to completely shut that out and balance that mindset to be able to make it really important to you in the moment?
Right now it is, and I think if I did more, I think it wouldn't. You're absolutely right. You're bang on, because there's a difference between being ready and getting ready. For this, I've got to get ready. I've got to put the work in. I'm coming from a cold start. I've got to put the effort into practice. Everything's got to come right for this. Where if I was doing a circuit and I was going to all these different events, I've got to be ready 12 months a year. Or 11 months of the year. So you've got to stay ready, and that's tiring and that's exhausting, and that's hard to pick out what the important moments are, because every day is a game. Every day is important. Where with this, it's like I've got a goal on the horizon. I know the things I need to do. I know what I've got to do on the practice board. I know what I've got to do off the board. I've gone as far as I've got a treadmill now at home, just so I can get up in the morning and walk on that treadmill, just so I can start to burn those calories in the morning, get in that fat burn zone. Every single part of this preparation will be meticulous, and I will do it to the best of my ability. Where if I went, I'm doing this in July, then I'm doing something in August, then I'm doing something in September. How do I get it right in August and September and October? I don't think I'd get it the same. But when it's just one event, You know, we get Christmas bang on every year because we've got so much time to get ready for it. But if Christmas was every month, someone's, oh, it's not that important this month, we'll do it better next month. And yeah, so absolutely.
Right, let's talk some darts as well.
Yes.
Because we know you love you love chatting. Thoughts on the Premier League final four? The best four we could have hoped for?
I've said it all along, 2 Lukes, 2 Welshmen. That's what I thought it'd be. I think Van Veen at the start maybe concerned me a little bit to that prediction. I think he got ill at the wrong time.
Yeah, he was unlucky. He won the...
He didn't just lose 1 week, did he? He lost multiple. Yeah. And, you know, I'd like to see him have another go at it. I think it's going to be a good finals night. Absolutely. I think Johnny Clayton has been exceptional in this and could be a bit of a dark horse going into finals night.
Mr. Thursday night, I need this year. Mr. Thursday night, Johnny Clayton. It's just been turned on at the exact right like a man doing the right thing at the right time. I don't think any season of the Premier League has been quite as well summed up, because even between, I think, events where he hasn't played particularly well or he hasn't played at all, or he just seems to manage to keep turning up on a Thursday, and regardless of the scenario and what's going on, shut it all out, play amazingly, and just he's booked his spot. And if you're there on the night, you've got a chance, haven't you?
Yeah, the main thing, and the thing that always stands out for me with Johnny Clayton is he's different to everybody else. Like you speak to Johnny Clayton, darts is just a hobby. It's just a hobby. It's just a pastime. It's a bit of fun. Like, where he doesn't have that sort of attitude like people like myself, for example, would have had, where we're fans and everything's like, oh, this is superb. This is this. I've just done this. I'm going to qualify for this. Like, to him, it's just, oh, this is just a hobby. It's great. And if you can have that sort of mindset while competing at the top, it's so desirable. Like, I just wish that I could understand how to even get close to what Johnny Clayton's got, because it makes him so dangerous.
Well, Luke Humphries, all of a sudden, is he timing this run to perfection? Because he was brilliant last week. His numbers on the Pro Tour today, I was surprised to see him at the Pro Tour, were huge. Is Coolhand just perhaps timing that run to the line to perfection like he did last year?
Yes. You know, if this was horse racing, you'd say, what a fantastic ride. Like, he's nailed it. He's done it perfectly. I think I summed this up well. I think it was 2 weeks or 3 weeks ago. I was at Sky Sports doing the Love the Darts with Emma. And when we spoke about Luke Humphries on that occasion, I said, for the last 2 to 3 years, Luke Humphries has never let us down. And he hasn't. Every time he's in that situation where it's time to deliver, he has delivered. So until he lets us down in those key moments, I couldn't back against him. I could not talk it down, because yes, he's lost some weeks along the way, but it's now that it matters. And this is when Luke Humphries delivers, and he has. For the last 2-3 weeks, he's absolutely delivered. He's reliable, is the best way of putting him. His performances are solid, they're reliable, and he's just so mentally strong at the right times.
Question for you both and the chat room as well. The Premier League. Could we get rid of finals night and actually have it as a league, or is finals night too big to get rid of?
I think it's like all these any question about Premier League formatting. You have to say your answer and then put 16 asterisks after it to say, well, only if. I think the only way that I would accept it would be and we've talked about every one of them over the course of the last few years, and Matt mentioned a few earlier, is if you added some other interesting features to the format that meant there was not just a reward but some peril, and I think you would have to probably layer that through not just the person at the top and the person at the bottom. You'd have to find a way of somehow structuring in some rewards for other places, or some pitfalls for other places towards the bottom to make it interesting. I think just running a league and then because the fear, of course, is we've got one, and the first thing we talked about tonight was Sheffield doesn't mean anything. And all of a sudden, it's a bit flat now, isn't it? And we can't get as excited about Sheffield. Now, this could have been the case 5 weeks ago. And you could end up, if you don't have that finals night at the end, with the last 5 weeks mean nothing because you've already got your winner. So unless you bolt on lots of other extra features to keep people interested, you need something at the end.
Yeah, I think you sort of answered your own question in a way, where it was like finals night is too big. It's at the O2. It fills the O2. Tell me another night in darts that's going to fill the O2. There's probably a World Championship final and semis, maybe. You know, this is one of the biggest, if not the biggest night in darts on the calendar year in regards to attendance and everything that goes with it commercially. So absolutely, it's something that you can't quite get rid of. But I also agree that I'm not the massive fan of the playoffs because Luke Humphries has been outside the top 4 for every week bar one going through the tournament. Now he's got a chance to win it.
And that's my point. Because last year, Luke Littler was the best player in the Premier League. Luke Humphries was the best player on finals night. And that was kind of what I was getting at, Matt, that how do we reward someone being the best player across 16 weeks, but then not getting it right on one night?
That's every darts tournament, though, Phil. The best player, the person who plays the best over the course of the World Championships doesn't win the World Champion, the world title. The bloke who wins the final does. It doesn't matter what you averaged in the semi or the quarters.
I disagree. Let's say Luke Littler had won all 16 nights and then lost finals night. Would that be right?
I think the issue comes in the wording of the title in regards to it's the Premier League. So
Correct.
the league becomes the talking point in the debate, and everyone's graded over a league system. So that's where it kind of comes in. And you know me, I don't normally like to sit on the fence, but I can make a case either way. Like you say to me, right, Matt, I want you to go on there and I want you to make a case for why there should be a playoffs. Absolutely, I'll sit here and make a case. Matt, I want you to go make a case why there shouldn't be. Easy. I can sit here and chat for 30 minutes about why there shouldn't be. It's one of them where I think it's just so guy down the pub with a debate of opinions that you can never really sort of have a correct answer. I think if you asked 100 people, the survey would say 50-50.
I'm just being devil's advocate like I always do.
No, not you, Phil.
Again, we talk about tournament changes and so on, and I don't know if you've seen the clip, Matt, from the Armageddon exhibition, the Modus MDA event, where they kept Nathan Aspinall's opponent under wraps and they brought Gezi on.
Yeah.
The pop, I wasn't there, but just off the video, the pop that got was ridiculous. And is that, again, more ammunition that needs something like that? Could you imagine, at the O2, 15,000 people to get pops like that?
Yeah. So I saw that and I thought that it was a good moment, but lacked storytelling. So here we go. I'm gonna
love it when we get wrestling fans on. The only wrestling fans use that sentence. A good moment for lack story. I love it.
But the thing was, I'm looking. So when something like that happens, I'm looking for that crowd reaction because that's what you're doing. You're doing it for a crowd reaction. Absolutely, you're right. As soon as the music hit, the lights came on those LED boards, which looked amazing, by the way, on the walk on, and the people rushed to the ramp so they could greet Gezi. It had that surprise factor. But then I looked at when he got on the stage and I'm looking at what the crowd are doing and they wasn't as engaged because so what happens is we go, wow, this is Gerwyn Price. We're going to see Gerwyn Price. This is so cool. And then he gets on stage and it's like, okay. Like, let's say, for example, let me paint the picture here for you. So when you get to the arena, they go, Nathan Aspinall doesn't have a contender tonight. It doesn't have a contender. So what we're going to do, Nathan Aspinall is putting up odds of 2-1 in the arena. So anyone can play Nathan Aspinall. You put down your money and he will give you 2-1. So if you put £1,000 down, he'll give you £2,000. There's going to be a board over there. Go write your name on it. And everyone over the day is going to go, I'll put £500 up, I'll put £200 up, I'll put £300 up, whatever it's going to be. And the crowd then are buying into that story. Then the MC's on there, like doing all his bits. Because then what you've got is you've got that sort of star pop where it's like, wow, look, we've got this guy. And then you've got, oh, hang on a minute. Nathan's put 2-1 up against him here. And you've got to make it a little bit more into a bit more story, because then when he gets to the stage, it's like, yeah, we've got Gerwyn Price. Hang on a minute, how much does Gerwyn Price put up to play him? And Nathan's got to play 2-1 against him. He's messed up here tonight. He has. Like, you draw it in a little bit more. You keep it going a bit more. Like, yes, it's storytelling, but like, it just makes it more on in the venue and on the night.
I know, I get that. And whilst we're on storytelling, is this something that the sport, this trajectory is on, is massive? But is the one thing that the sport doesn't do well enough is storytelling?
Yes. Absolutely. I think everyone's got a story to tell. You've just sat online for about another 20 hours today, Phil, and you've talked about the Pro Tour. That's 128 players. I guarantee you 128 players didn't go to win the Pro Tour today. Some of them went to win one round. Some of them went to cover the costs. Some of them went to try qualify for the match play. Some are trying to keep tour cards. Everybody's got a story to tell. Not every story has to be players at the very top. It's how I've got away with doing what I'm doing. Like, I ain't winning no world title, but I've got a story, a journey, or a relatability to tell. And everybody's got the same. Like, everybody's got their own journey and story. And I don't think they get it across very well. I don't think people are very good at. And I think maybe as a storyteller sometimes aren't always the greatest at putting people's stories across, because games mean so much more to different people at different stages. You get to the back end of the year, some players are preparing for the World Championship. Some are trying to get in it. Some are trying to stay on the tour. Some are trying to get to Minehead. So absolutely, I think we're all guilty, from players to pundits to content creators, of not getting the stories across that are really happening in the world of darts.
I think sometimes as well, and it's interesting, like Matt mentions there, there's 128 different stories, and they are very, very different stories. But when I think back of, the stuff that we've talked about on here, that sometimes you can do good storytelling by accident, because sometimes it's something you found a bit funny or something that was a bit interesting. I remember, I'm sure it might have been when we were in Blackpool, Phil, for the match play. Somebody stopped me and talked about how, and I don't know, we fell into it by accident, was Rob Owen's tour card watch. I have no idea. I can't look back and say why it became a regular feature on Online Darts, that every time we did a live stream, we made little videos for it, and we were checking in constantly on Rob Owen's tour card. And it became something that people would stop me and they would say, well, how far away is Rob? I don't know off the top of my head. It was a passing thing, but it's just that little bit of engagement with a part of the tour that people have found interesting, and then it changes the following week. And once you've looked into something for 3 weeks in a row, the story no matter what the story is, but there is a story there, because over time it's changing, and it's gone up a bit and it's gone down a bit, and all of a sudden there's something there. And we're now seeing there's, like today, just before I came on, I was and I'm going to drop him a message, he'll probably be listening, but like, I looked and found out that Derek Coulson had gone green to go to Minehead in November, which genuinely is like, it's an unbelievable story. And Derek's a top bloke. And I looked into that and I thought, what a thoroughly good story that is. Over the course of the next 6 months, that story could become even more interesting. But often there's lots of these stories that they go untold. And there's only so much time anybody's got, and somebody's got to be invested. Unfortunately, we also live in a world where often the people telling the stories, or people tell the stories that will get them the most, or that they think will get them the most views, the most clicks, the most better deals with sponsors. And I think a lot of genuinely interesting, good stories are then overlooked, even though they could be very successful.
you tend to find the stories are told at the top and the bottom.
Yeah.
At the top, who's winning this, and the bottom, this player's lost 10 matches in a row. Like the thing in the middle often gets ignored, and ultimately that's where there's some real Kim Hybricks this year, a story that has gone very under the radar, where he's gone into it potentially losing. No, you've got it. But I remember, I think I covered like Pro Tour 3 and 4 this year, and I looked at it, I thought Kim Hybricks could lose his tour card. And then I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, hang on, he could make the match play. And then it's like, hang on, he could literally qualify for everything here, or he could lose his card. Like, we have got such a and that was such a great journey to follow. And it just shows some real sort of the real attributes that Kim Hybricks has within his game to be able to react to that sort of pressure the way he has. And it's kind of something you kind of hope doesn't get like pushed aside or not told, because that is one heck of a story.
So shout out to obviously Anthony across in Texas via the greatest city in the world. He sent me something here talking about the Premier League, and I actually quite like this. That this is based off of the PBA in America, where you have 5 players on finals night. If you finish top of the table, you're instantly in the final. Then you have a ladder format where position number 5 plays position number 4. The winner...
Which winner stays on?
Then winner plays position number 3.
Oh, yes.
The winner of that plays position number 2. The winner of that then plays in the final. I like this.
It's chaotic enough for me to get behind it as a fool that enjoys chaos.
Yeah, I think my thing straight away, and this is probably from working in broadcast and things, straight away, my mind kind of goes to like the business side of it. Like, so do both players leave and do they walk on? Does one player stay on stage and the other one does? But then you got the ad break, and so then do they just stay on stage throwing darts while they wait for the other person to go? Like, I'm trying to think about how it would structure or how it would work. Like, because you wouldn't be able to have any punditry or build up between the matches. Otherwise, the players stood on stage for like 15, 20 minutes. So as a watch, is it just game, and then like ad breaks? And yeah, I don't know how you'd structure it. That would be the thing I'd find quite hard.
I like the idea though.
Oh, I do. Yeah, I love the idea. But I find that these ideas kind of work better in things such like the Super Series environment, where it is literally just game, and you can go through those games. You don't have to have walk-ons. You can literally go to an ad break, come back, and oh, look, we've changed the match. Like the players have changed.
Go 3, 2, 1, game on.
Game on, yeah, there you go, yeah. Where you don't need that production. But if you're at the O2, the last thing you want is 2 players walking on from the side of the stage and just cracking on with things. Like, you want that production, that razzmatazz. That's why it's at the O2. So it's a great idea. I like it, but I just think putting it together would be a nightmare. But that's why there's producers in the game, and you know they know better than I do.
Match play is on the horizon, Matt. Are we going to see prime time in Blackpool at all this year?
No, I'm doing Champions Week that week for the Super Series.
I was going to say it's the week. It's after you. It's after you're in Vegas, isn't it? Is it the week after?
Yeah, it's straight after. So here's my weeks now. So I go to Vegas. I'm out in Vegas for the week. I land back. I've got to drive straight down to Portsmouth. I do the week in Portsmouth. Then I go straight to the airport, and then I'm flying out to do the Pro Tour. So I'm away for like 3 straight weeks now, but I'm flying and moving all over the place. So yeah, it's gonna be a manic 3 weeks, that one.
I'm glad you're not in Blackpool though.
Yeah, I love the Winter Gardens. I love Blackpool. I try and get up there at least once a year. Get a lamb Henry from Coral Island. Yeah, absolutely love it. But yeah, it's just doesn't link this year, unfortunately.
That's a shame.
I get that. Going forward, what are you expecting from not just this year, darts? How does darts change and become better in terms of a product? How does darts become the next global sport? I'm not talking UK based because it's already massive. How does darts become global?
So tours, and they're all in place. I don't know if it's public knowledge or what, but we know the guy who's behind it in the role that he's taken now, the investment and the funds he's got to work with, the investment he's put into African darts, into Asian darts. I think we need to see a world where the top player in the CDC is offered a tour card. The top player in Asian Tour is offered a tour card. And I think that's the way forward. I think once we get away from this modern day Q schooling method that we've got at the moment, I think that's when darts becomes a lot more global. And we get those sort of global players in there. I know the concern probably is the fact of he's got an American tour card holder. Is he going to come across 34 times a year? Like, probably not. So then we're going to lose certain aspects. But I think in general, everything's kind of in motion. A lot of the top players now are starting to realize that they need to be a bit more active on social media. That's the way the world's going. They're interacting in a positive way. They're putting out some interesting content. They're showing themselves. I think in the past, a lot of people have been scared to show themselves. Fear of rejection or fear of that side of social media that we've all seen and experienced where it's sort of the pile-on mentality. So I think we're making steps in the right direction, but I think we'll never fully get there until we get maybe somebody in a role who works with players as such to get that out. So I'm going back to wrestling again here, probably. But the thing that I don't like at the moment is there is no... So I talk about this a bit, over. We know the term over. Wrestling fans know what over is. When Stephen Bunting does his walk-on song, what's over? It's not Stephen Bunting, it's the song. The song that he didn't sing. And it doesn't matter if you put him on stage or not, the fans will react the same way. When Nathan Aspinall does his walk-on and you go, oh, what a great walk-on, but he just walked onto the stage and sang somebody else's song. The song is over, not Nathan Aspinall. If I walk onto Mr. Brightside, I'll get the same reaction. If Phil Bars walks onto Mr. Brightside, we get the same reaction. So it's the song that's over. And I think until more players realize that they need to be the thing that is over, I think we'll always lack a little bit of what you're saying, that globalization, that mainstream sport. But we just need those little moments of interaction between, and that little bit of relationship between the fans and the players. And I think when we get that, that's when we'll get what you're talking about.
Is it difficult, Matt? Like, and you've been someone who you've been on big stages and you have entertained the people in the room, and I think have paid as much attention to the people in the room as certainly those on the telly, because you are there with those people. Do you think though that the way that the media sometimes reacts and the way that sometimes social media goes, I think the world has put quite a bit of pressure on certainly people in individual sports, darts being one, to be as much of an entertainer as they are a professional sports person. They should, or to get on well, they need to entertain. But then I think wrongly, I think the world has then been very, very critical the moment they've done something that maybe hasn't quite landed in the way that they want. We've seen players that they've tried to show a bit more personality and they've tried to give a bit more in interviews, and maybe cut a promo is probably is a word that might work, but then they get it both barrels and you see them almost regress back into themselves a little bit. And I think it's... Do you think it's difficult then for people to come out and be that bit more entertaining, be brave enough to do that because of the current world?
Yeah, you've got to be happy within yourself. That's the main thing. Every decision you make or whatever, as long as you're happy with it, like you're never gonna please everybody. That's the main thing to remember. It doesn't matter what you do, not everyone's gonna love what you do. As long as you're happy with what you do and you think you've done it for the right reasons, then great. I absolutely. I mean, look at if social media was around when Eric Bristow. Imagine what it'd be like then. Like, he's glorified. Sid Waddell. Like, I see people talk about like Dan Dawson. Like, Dan Dawson is elite as a broadcaster, as a commentator. He is. We are so fortunate to have Dan Dawson in the world of darts. What a asset he is. And people talk, oh, he's rubbish. He's rubbish. Like, imagine what they would have said about Sid Waddell back in the day. Like, with like all of his like different people. If they can't see relatability in what you do, people want you to act the way that they want you to act, and naturally you're going to go against that quite often. So yes, I fully agree. I think sometimes people are just scared to put themselves out, be themselves, divide the audience. Everyone wants to just be the oh, isn't he a lovely guy? Yeah, he is, but he's also a person who's got a very unique thought pattern or a unique look on things. And I think there's an element where people are scared to put them or expose themselves to the audience. Yeah, 100%.
Here's a question for you both based off of what you've just said there. And I want to see where the chat room is on this as well. How many and who are actually over in darts?
Who's
I
over
think
in
sometimes
darts?
it depends which room you're in.
Well, I tell you one, and that is Nathan Aspinall.
Yeah.
Not because you go to Germany, and it doesn't matter if playing home nation qualifier, people just love Nathan Aspinall.
Yeah. I agree.
He's got over that infectious sort of personality of which he's got.
Gary Anderson is over.
Great. Yeah, good one.
No matter where you go, no matter what happens, if people hasn't seen him for ages, and I think that would be the same no matter what. I think Gary Anderson remains over.
Ryan Searle.
That's not a bad shout.
Chizzy. Gilding.
Gilding's got a massive cult following. 100. I tell you who else I think is over now more than he's ever been is Gerwyn Price.
Yep.
Yeah. Are we having?
And the way he's kind of done it as well, the way he gets on the stage and then gives it his big to the crowd, like they love that interaction. I think Gezi is well and truly over.
Would you have Damon Hector?
No.
Not quite.
We're all looking through darts rankings, aren't we now? We're just
Dirk,
like that.
Dirk van Dijvenbode.
Ooh. I think
if you're in mainland Europe,
yes.
Euro Tour.
I'm not sure anywhere else, but Central Europe, 100%.
I think that's the thing why Nathan Aspinall popped to my mind first, because I've seen him perform in many countries. He's just universally loved.
So again, who's the biggest heels then in wrestling at the moment and of all time? I knew we'd get this linked up in together in one.
Well, it's Littler is both the biggest face and the biggest heel, depending on what day of the week it is, isn't it? And depending on what's happening, depending on who he's playing and where he is, and what he said in his last interview and what was last said in a red top paper. I think he's the biggest heel or the biggest face, depending on which viewpoint you come from.
Someone's put in here what's over. I think over, the best way of describing it is sort of universally respected, regardless of what they did. And the greatest way to answer that is what Wayne Russell's put in there, Paul Lim. Like Paul Lim doesn't do a silly dance, doesn't do it. He's just respected as a dart player and everything he's sort of done. But as a heel, I mean, someone's probably nailed it there, Mensa Suljovic, like for years.
I tell you, one of the biggest heels of all time, Peter Manley.
Yep.
Peter Manley, yeah, he is definitely what I think what both terms mean is it. I think it's all based on that strong connection with the crowd and a strong enough connection that can elicit a response, either positive or negative, depending on which side of the page that you're on.
Hitler's heel turn at the Worlds was one of the best TV moments I've ever seen. That was like the ultimate heel turn at the Worlds.
Oh, Steve Beaton. Yeah. Good shout.
Steve Beaton's over.
Yeah. Oh, Nico's a great shout. Nico was an unbelievable heel back in the day.
Do you know who's got the biggest potential at the minute to be the biggest heel of if he decided to go that way? Michael Van Gerwen. could be the greatest heel ever in the history of darts from this point onwards, if he wanted to. If he decided he was going to go both barrels every time he got sat in front of a microphone, and he's still got the game to back it up, which is what you need. See, you can't if you are a heel dart player but crap at darts, you're just a dickhead. Like you aren't. You've just become a dickhead rather than anything else. So you still need to be good enough to justify the attitude and the swag and everything that goes with it. But I think, I think MVG could.
I like the sound of the MVG heel turn. I'm not going to lie. I like this.
See, I'm going to put an asterisk on that because the heel, the face, anything, the over, whatever we want to talk about. The main thing is to get an emotional response from the audience. The worst thing I'm going to name a dart player right now. Some of our viewers will know. Some probably won't. How good of a dart player was Mark Walsh?
Yeah.
What a superb dart player. Being a great dart player is not enough sometimes. Sometimes you've got to evoke a bit of reaction. You've got to evoke a bit of emotion. And we can name players that was nowhere near the level of Mark Walsh, but they've made us feel something. Yeah. Now, if these players go on there and, like you say, they haven't got the talent to do it and they're being gobby, you go, I want to see him get smashed every week. And when they're getting smashed, you're like, yes, look at that, he's getting smashed. And it's like when I get a negative comment. Like, if I get a negative comment on social media, I see that as a positive because I've gone, well, actually, you've cared enough and I've impacted an emotional response in you that's made you type this message out and send it. So my job as a performer is absolutely completed. So it's one of those that if you can get to the point where people go, I want to see him get battered because he's annoying the life out of me. He's so gobby. He's got no chance of winning this, but he's turned up saying he's going to win the world championship. I want to see him go out in round one without winning a single leg. And then when it does, you go, yeah, but you tuned in and watched it because you want to see them lose. Your job is done. Like, and that's the most important thing. Can you evoke an emotional response from the audience? If you can, doesn't matter if you're a great player or a poor one, you've done the job.
I tell you, there's two names that have come up: face and over. Adrian Lewis, 100%.
Yeah. And
then heel, he who must not be named. This is my territory. As a heel, yes, but we won't mention him. He who must not be named.
Yeah.
Yeah. To be fair, I like this chat because, like Matt summed it up perfectly. It's getting that engagement. Teresa says it there. I do it in the chat room all the time because, again, Matt likes this one because he stole it off us. As soon as we saw him do it, he messaged me, went, cheers, I'm nicking that. That you have to subscribe to be able to comment in the chat room. Now, a couple of times on lives recently, we've had people come in and like just try and give me abuse in the chat room, like just random 84869 or whatever with no thing. And my constant reply is, thank you very much for trying to be clever, but you had to subscribe to do that, and the engagement helps our chat room. So thank you very much.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Whenever you get a post or a comment, the main thing to remember, it's not a knee-jerk reaction. It's not like if you say something now and I go, blah, 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 and I go, I didn't really have time to think about that. You have to go, right, here we go. I'm going to type this out. That's going to take me some time. It's the ones that then put emojis in it as well. I've gone and found some emojis and put them in. And then I've had to present. Like, you've had time to consider this response and you've still gone through with it. That is such an emotional impact that you've had on that person, that even if you've annoyed them, great, I made you feel something today. Like, thank you. Like,
Matt, before we let you go, I'm going to ask you one question. And earlier on, the chat room kind of made me promise I was going to ask you this. Before you go to Vegas, are you going to have any coaching sessions?
What, me coaching other people or people coaching me?
Are you going to have any coaching sessions to get back to your best?
I'll be working with many various different coaches. Yeah, absolutely. I saw a post. It was Paul James actually. Yeah, it was. And he was talking about Dieter Hedman, and she just won a women's series. And he talked about the dedication that which he has. And do you know what? It resonated with me so much, because he said the dedication isn't she's going to stand on the practice board for 4 or 5 hours. The dedication is going to the chiro, it's the heat pads, it's the trays, the stretchers, it's everything that goes with it. And to do that, you can't just be a one-person team. You need experts working alongside you. The dedication goes beyond just throwing darts at the board. Like that, everyone's doing that right now. There's kids playing in the JDC averaging over 100. Like if that's all you're going to do, stand throw darts at the board, you're competing in a very, very tough world. You need to find those little 1% everywhere else. And that's what gives you that longevity, and that's what gives you that extra. So absolutely, I'm going to be working with many, many different coaches from many different walks of life. I won't leave any stone unturned. I want to be world master. I want that. So the only way I can do that is 100%, and I've got the chance to give it. Well, I say 100%. I'm going to be working 20 different jobs between now and then. Well, I'll certainly give it a lot.
100% of the time you have available. That's
yes,
yeah,
all 2 days of it.
I absolutely love that, and it's probably gone on longer than we were meant to, but once we put 50p in, we just can't shut him up. Everyone, the one, the only, and it's an absolute pleasure, Mr. Primetime, Matthew Edgar, everyone.
Thank you, mate.
No worries. See you all soon.
That was bloody good.
Yes, it's always fun to have Matt on. Yeah, he's it's the gift that keeps on giving, in it, because he knows what he's talking about across the full spectrum of things you might want to know. Really, like I say, he's got that player's insight. He's been there, he's done it, he's experienced it in all parts of the game as well. Whether it's a PDC stage or playing in the WDF, and like whatever the format is, he's sort of been there and done it and experienced it, and he understands it, the bigger picture as well. It's really good insight, interesting to have him along, and exciting. It will be like, it's a good move. Like whoever made the decision to invite Matt made a wise decision. Like I, for one, am more likely to engage with that tournament when it's on 100%. Now than I was previously. Now, am I going to sit down and tune in to watch every session? Of course I'm not. But am I more likely? Will my engagement with that tournament has gone up? So whoever has made that decision, the test case here is that it was a good decision for that tournament, because engagement has increased having Matt in there. And I think we didn't go into it too much with him on here, and maybe it's not fair to do so. So we can maybe have a couple of comments there. Is that whether people think it's fair how that invite came about, or whether or not it should have gone to somebody from a different format and that more people should be qualifying. Like I would simply say that it is without question, I don't think, that engagement in that tournament has increased with Matt there. The tournament's therefore more valuable. The profile is increased. And as we have seen with every type of darts, when that happens, it's better for everybody. It puts bread on everybody's table. When a tournament and the way it is viewed increases, it's better for everyone. It means that more eyes are on it. The more eyes on it mean you can get more sponsored, or you can get better sponsored deals. That everything is improved for everybody. People might not see the big spider web that fans out from it, but it is a good thing for everybody. But yeah, really, really positive. And again, it's quite easy to shut down the, should it have gone to someone else? Is it fair, etc. With, it's for the best for the tournament, clearly.
We're talking a couple of Dutchmen. First of all, did you see? It came out this morning that that's an awful tackle. Raymond van Barneveld is going to take a break until September. He's going to play this week, and he's got a couple of exhibitions, but then he is going to take an active break from darts.
It's a long time, that. a long time. Like we've just talked with Matt, one of the questions that came up was about that being able to then get back in the habit, so to speak, not being used to going through it all the time and being long days, traveling, hours on the board, up, down, move, it's then all of a sudden, if you have your feet up for a few months, it's very difficult to get that back quickly. I almost think that it's sort of a nod and a wink towards what is probably going to be the end, and that the tour card is pretty much done. And I just think he'll have what he's keying up for is maybe one last dance at the Palace, and coming back in September will help him, sort of get in the mood for that and get his game back a little bit. And then I think that'll be it.
I was about to say that when you look at it, there is a distinct danger that he is not going to be in anything. He's a mile off the Worlds at the moment. So to make an active decision to miss all these tournaments and so on, I'm not sure he even comes back in September. I actually think this could be the end of Raymond van Barneveld again.
Well, it's easy to choose not play tournaments you haven't qualified for, isn't it? Like that's we can all take I'm taking an active decision to not play PDC tournaments this year, because I ain't qualified for any of them. And if he ain't qualified for them, if his name's not in the draw, then yeah, he's not really taking much of an active decision. Obviously, we know that includes Pro Tours and Euro Tour qualifiers as well. I'm genuinely not sure what the route back is. I'm honestly not sure of what the route back is.
Yeah, I'm not. And once you make that active decision to say, I am stepping away for a period of time, that takes some soul searching to do, because you have to go, hang on a minute, this isn't working, this isn't right. And you have to start thinking, am I good enough? How do I get back? And so on. That is a massive decision to take. And look, I know that we have laugh's the wrong word, but we've criticised Barney for coming back when he shouldn't have done, and so on. But and he is one of the greats. For one of the greats to potentially go out this way, I actually think it's quite sad.
Well, it's difficult though, isn't it? Because, I mean, saying that, he's done over 200 grand in the last 2 years. So, and that's without sponsor deals and selling darts with his face on and exhibitions and everything else. So, let's be generous and stick another 100 grand on that. Or no, sorry, let's be very conservative and say he's on 300 grand. Then, 400 maybe. Depends out, what good deals he's got. I think he's doing all right. And I think, he's come back. If I retired and someone said, you fancy going back for another year for 100 grand? Well, I couldn't afford the pay cut, to be honest. But no, there's only so many ways it can end, Phil. And you're either going to go out in an absolute blaze of glory, or you stick around long enough to decline. And we're seeing it. Like, it's just that 100%. Barney just won a few more trophies than some other people. But let's be honest, like, we can rattle off a list of players in that order of merit that are on the slide. And these are big names. These are people that have lifted the very biggest trophies. We saw it. We watched Adrian Lewis for some time. We watch him, just start to move further and further down the rankings, and the performances weren't there. I know there's obviously lots of other stuff going on, but again, I'm more just thinking, Adrian Lewis didn't walk off into the sunset lifting a trophy with fireworks going off. That isn't how he finished his career. It's not how Peter Wright is going to finish his career. It's not how, when you look at the players that have held that world title that are no longer playing, like there's not many of them that go off, like I say, raising the trophy with the fireworks going off in the background saying thanks for the memories, folks. Like if you stick around long enough, you just get on the slide, and it's always a bit sad. I think there's a dignity. One of the most dignified moves I think I've seen in recent years was, and of course, when other things change, then it might all come back and play again. But was Steve Beaton taking the decision to not lose his card, but to give his card back, and to think, well, I'm not gonna go and I'm not going to have a year where I'm not qualifying for things. Like I'm not going to put loads of pressure on myself to think, oh shit, I'm not at the World Championships. I'm not qualified for Alexandra Palace. How can I do? I've got to win this. I've got to travel here. I've got to do that. I just think there was a great deal of dignity in Steve Beaton just saying, "There's your card. I've had a very nice time. Thank you very much." But I think it's not often, in sport. It's never dignified, is it?
No.
Towards the end.
No, it's a real shame, because I don't think that we will. I don't think we'll see Barney on TV again. And I hope I'm wrong with that, by the way. I really do, but I just don't see where he qualifies at the moment.
It's hard to see a route.
Yeah, it's hard to see how he gets back, how he finds a route, how he does something.
Unless he is spending those few months moving in with Matt Edgar, like turning over every stone, looking at every, analysing every element of his game, and he's just going to lock himself away, focus entirely on getting it back, and all of a sudden he comes back and Jesus, where's he been? And he's like, he could just be locking himself away in a cage until he refines his former form. Unlikely.
Yeah, I'm not sure that he can or he will, and I hope I'm wrong. Also, another Dutchman. We were talking about obviously the Premier League earlier. For the second year in a row, MVG will not be going to the O2. The 7-time winner of the Premier League now will not contest finals like 2 years in a row. We've seen moments of brilliance from Van Gerwen. We've also seen moments of mediocrity. Again, where does Van Gerwen go from here?
Well, I mean, I think the answer's not up. I don't. It's really difficult, Phil, because so many times he has made fools of people writing him off, and I mean, really recently, there was so much criticism, like towards the back end of 2024. Like there was he went through that really quick cycle of like Grand Prix, Europeans, Grand Slam, and it was like Players Championships, I think, as well, where it was first round, round robin, first round exits, and everyone's got him written off. Everyone's just said, "Wow, that's it, it's gone. That's the last we're going to see of Michael Van Gerwen at the top level." Then he goes and makes a final at the Worlds immediately after, and but then it turns out to be false, like a false hope, because then again, TV form is just not. It's not there, and he now hasn't made a TV final since that World Championships. And
are we talking? Obviously, he won the World Series of Darts. Are we talking?
Right.
It's a Premier TV event. It has all the same perks.
Not in our house. It's not.
Does it get you in the Grand Slam the same as the others? It has all the same perks.
Not in our house.
What I'm saying is, right, in terms of what it does to you.
Okay, right. Okay,
Let me all the same.
let me contextualize this for you then, Philip. Right? If I'd have said to you a few years ago that the only way you're going to be able to try and talk the year into not being a disaster for Michael Van Gerwen is if you can get people on board with the credibility of the World Series finals night. Like, if that's the situation you're in, you've probably answered your own question, haven't you?
All I'm saying is winning the European Championships gets you in the Grand Slam. Winning the World Series of Darts gets you in the Grand Slam. It's the same benefits.
My fear, Phil, and I don't know how far away this is, but we have watched world champions, multiple world champions of recent years. And we have had the conversation where we start saying, it's a long time since they've made a final, isn't it? Do you think they'll make a final this year? And that was the context of the conversation that we had. And then it's not very long before we're having a conversation about whether or not we think they'll qualify for things. And there is it like he is 20th, perhaps ish. No, I'm not looking at it, but 20th ish, like tour card race, live order of merit, somewhere down there. Is he
on the tour card race? He is provisionally
19. Yeah. Now, that means if he has a similar back end of the year to what he's had last year, if he replicates last year, right, that means he's going to have to start going for qualification event. He's going to have to try and qualify for things. He's going to have to go and turn up with the bottom end of the tour to try and play qualifiers to play in a Euro tour. Now, this is a man who picks and chooses which Euro tours fit into his busy calendar. And if he's not, busy, he won't go to one if he's busy or if he wants to go on holiday. And then all of a sudden, he's genuinely, in the space of maybe 8 months' time, he's going to have to start to think about whether or not he goes to a qualification event and plays the lads scraping round to hold their tour cards in order for him to be allowed to go and play in a Euro tour. I'm not sure that he lowers himself to that. I'm not sure he lowers himself to be going and playing those. But then you're struggling to qualify for the events on the telly. If you're not playing Euro Tour regular, like we've seen how quick it can happen, Phil. Some of those lumps that he's carrying, especially that final, that final that he's carrying into the end of this year, the money that he's carrying from there is like it's so much of that, right? He's carrying 200 grand in one lump.
So, and by the way, I'm not sticking up for his form or whatever, but on that tour card race, the only shining light at the moment, and I can't believe I'm saying this, the only shining light is for MVG is that he's only 14 grand off of the top 16. Now, that's one round at the match play. That's one round at the World Championships. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. Yes, I completely get what you mean.
Shining light is that from the fall that he's having, if he could be inside that top 16 at the end of the World Championships, which would still get him in everything and gives him a chance to potentially rebuild, that's not a big as disaster as what it could have been.
No, and I think there's still lots of time for it to change, but I do think the Pro Tour 16 at the match play, the field within that, in terms of form, right, not in terms of talent, I'm not criticising that, but I think the field is weaker than we've seen, considerably weaker than we've seen in recent years.
I don't think it's going to be a good match play.
No.
For a couple of years, we've said, is this the best match play ever? I'm not saying that this year. There are one or two that you want to avoid like the plague. Kevin Dutz is a prime example. But overall, you look at it and go, yeah, I'd fancy it against him.
It'll be cracking. It'll be a cracking match play from about the Wednesday. It'll be a belting match play from about the Wednesday. But I think that first weekend is going to be very procedural. So I think again that bodes well for someone, for someone like Michael. He can grab a few quid there, and he can grab a few quid if he potentially picks up a very winnable game. But also at the same time, you pick up a Dutz, a Ross Smith, even a Neil Zonnevel, perhaps in that. Christoph Ratajski has been playing all right, and he's got some form on that stage as well. Not that Michael hasn't, of course, but there are some dangerous games in there. But again, I just think would you classify it as a disaster if the goal for Michael van Gerwen between now and the end of the season is to stay in the top 16? Is that a disaster in and of itself? If that's 100%. Where, I'm not being funny and I'm not taking the piss, but it's like Spurs have set their, what are your goals what are your goals this season? Well, ideally we'll avoid relegation. Well, it's a fucking disaster then, isn't it? If you avoid relegation, great, well done, good, but it doesn't detract away from the fact that it's a complete crisis. And that, I think, is where it is with Mike. Like, if you can stay in the top 16, great, you'll still play on stuff. But it doesn't detract away from the crisis is the fact that we're not now saying, well, will he win this, will he won't win that? It's, will he qualify for this, will he qualify for that? Very, very different questions.
Also, there's a great Wrestle Jump puts it in there that when you look at who's currently in green on the Pro Tour Order of Merit, does that just highlight how many previous big names, established TV names, are banging trouble when they're not in that green? And again, I'm not saying anything I don't think anyone else is thinking. There are plenty in that 16 that are in no form whatsoever, and those players are still missing.
Oh, and this is a worry. The name value. When you start to run through out there and you look, Rob Cross, Dave Chisnell, Michael Smith, the players that are sat outside there, there's huge names missing. And then, like, there's players in there in no form at all, absolutely no form whatsoever. And honestly, like, if I look outside of that and someone says to me, like, who are the dark horses for match play qualification? Right, the two names, you can do all the maths you want. The two dark horses for match play qualification are Bo Greaves and Cristo Reyes. They are the dark horses for match play qualification, because where else is the form? Where else is the form among everybody else there? And I'll tell you where it is. Nowhere near those two. Nowhere near those two.
Oh, 100%. I'm with you. It is a long way off where it should and needs to be for these players.
Don't get me wrong, Phil. I can't tell you. Somebody said to me at work today. They were asking, because summer holidays is busy for us. Like, it's my busiest week of the year. I shouldn't be off when I'm off. Like, I have to, the hoops I have to jump through to get that authorized, you would not believe.
You told me.
But I said, I went, I'm off the first week. And they said, what are you doing? And I felt inside me, like, I went, I'm going to Blackpool for the week. And they looked at me like I was a minute. They were like, what? This is a person who knows nothing about darts. Like, I'm going to Blackpool for the week. I'm like, what? And I went, yeah, going to Blackpool for the week. And the darts is on. And it's the best week of the year. And honestly, I genuinely just pictured myself walking along the front from the hotel all the way up. I can't wait. I'm already excited. It's not far now, is it? Weeks. We measure it in weeks rather than months now.
2 months today, it starts.
8 weeks.
Now, I'm going to go into Bo stroke the women because there's quite a good segue here. After today, Bo is currently in the green for the World Grand Prix. Yes, it's 16th spot, but she is in the World Grand Prix. Fabulous. Now, before we talk about the winners and congratulate them from the weekend, now, Bo played in both days of the Women's Series. She's playing today, tomorrow, and the Euro Tour qualifier on Wednesday. Has she got to be a little bit savvy now? And for the want of phrasing it better, bin the women's series off? I get it's cash. I understand that. But when you are a tour card holder, do you have to prioritize being ready, energy levels good for things like the European Tour qualifiers? Because that's where you're going to make your jump. She's guaranteed to be in the Women's World Match Play. Perhaps should she have managed her calendar a little bit better and not played this weekend? Because Paul says there she looks shattered at the weekend, and she probably is. It's a tough schedule to come into.
Yeah, I suppose the only person that really knows that is Bo. How close to the sun she's sailing in terms of what she can take on and how much she can commit time wise and energy wise. But at the same time, darts is a we talked about it with Mac. It's easy for me to say with me salary and my government pension, isn't it? It's very difficult and it's unpredictable. And no one's. I appreciate that there are sponsor deals and manufacturers and other management companies and everything else, but nobody in darts has their long-term future secured in darts. Nobody. You've got what you've earned so far. That's what you've got. You've got all of your deals until they run out. Nothing beyond that is guaranteed in black and white. It's really difficult. So I completely understand somebody needing to stick as much money in the bank as they want to. I look at it as if you want to simplify it, I look at it as and this is maybe I might get some stick for this being a bit disrespectful, but I know what I'm trying to get across, and it's not meant like that. But I think she almost might look perhaps at the women's series events a bit like some people might look at overtime if they had a more standard job. Is you do your normal job and you earn this money that you earn, but then someone says, fancy an extra shift here, and you're like, oh, fucking knackered, I can't really, but extra money will come in handy though, and Christmas is coming around. Then you take the overtime shift and you go and bank the extra money, and you're knackered and you pay for it in the end. But I don't know whether it's a bit of that. But to be honest, Phil, it's a temporary problem, innit? Because sooner or later, her ranking is going to stop her from.
Oh yeah, I agree. Come after the World Championships, I don't think. I think it's taken out of our hands anyway. I fully agree.
It's a very temporary problem for her because. Yeah, it is absolutely undoubtable that she is going to be not able to play those tournaments anymore.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Because of her ranking.
Congratulations to the winners. Bo did the double on the Saturday, and then on Sunday, Dieter won event, or the first one of the day, and then Vicky Proom on the second. It's good to see some different winners.
It's nice to see different names on that tour, and I mean, it is with the greatest of respect that I say this, to Bo. It gets boring, doesn't it? It gets boring having the same people. Nice to see Trina Culliver make a final as well. It was good. The form that she produced was really, really good. I think it's and I tell you what, I like the. I am starting to like the look of what I'm expecting or what I think we're going to see at the women's match play in Blackpool. I think it's starting to look like a really nice tournament. There will obviously be a really heavy favourite. You can't get away from the fact that if Bo Greaves plays in any of the women's events, there is a heavy favourite. But I think that the tournament looks really good. I think it's quite an exciting one, and I'll be looking forward to it.
Yeah, no, agreed. And at the moment, the 8th that will be at the World Match Play. Remember, the cutoff is the 22nd of June. At the moment, Bo, Lisa, Fallon, Gemma Hayter are the top 4. Then Dieter 5, Rhiannon O'Sullivan 6, Vicky 7, Kirsty Vinakainen 8, just outside Robin Byrne, Steph Clark, and Trina Gulliver. So. It's going to be interesting that little.
We're getting a really good lineup, no matter what. I think we're getting a really good lineup in Blackpool. It's going to be good.
Yeah. Look, that's a shame that they won't be playing. Paul, just my opinion, and not that it's worth anything for me. Priority would be qualifying for the match play, but look, I get other people see playing for their country different. I get it.
I think Dita's safe though, isn't she? Like,
I think Dita's safe as well. I think Dita's safe. I agree.
Someone can probably do some wacky maths and tell me that she isn't, but I would be staggered. I don't think Dita would need to play another game, and I think she'd be in Blackpool.
Yeah,
Rianne perhaps not. Maybe not in seventh spot. That might be a closer run thing to whether she qualifies for Blackpool or not. But I think Dita's there.
Yeah, I agree. Look, it's going to be good. The women's world match play again this year, looking like a good field. I don't want to wish people not qualify, but how good would it be if Trina could get there?
Oh, just, you know, talked about it earlier. Like, is the only thing more entertaining than really high quality darts is darts with a story behind it. And there are a few people in darts that have got a better story that you could tell. I mean, can you imagine how good you could do that? You know, that pre-match Sky piece. You know, the way that you could talk about Trina's career, like that would be brilliant and lovely and very well deserved. And yeah, it would be. Again, it's going to be unfortunate. I think it's going to be run really tight, that race to Blackpool for the women. And there are going to be, I think there are going to be a couple of ladies like disappointed, really, you know, sort of only just that it could be one of them where somebody misses out by like 50 quid. That's how tight I think that one could be ran. So it will be a shame for those that don't make it. But I mean, that would be very, very cool.
Yeah, I agreed. Also, it looks like this year is going to be Jelle Klassen's last year as a professional, that he's put out. He's having the same kind of issues that Jules van Dongen was having, but not in his fingers, but in his arm instead. So it looks like, and by the way, I'm stealing this. I can't remember who put it out on the stream today, but I am stealing it as if it was my own. This could be the last year. Both finalists from the Lakeside 2006, Jelle and Barney, both compete as professional players.
Well, I mean, I don't think that 20 years later anyone can grumble.
No?
I'm not being funny. Like, how many, you know, professional sport, there are very few where you can be in a world final and 20 years later still kicking about and potentially qualifying for another one. You know, it's been a long career. I think obviously that it's a bit skewed, I think, like Jelle Klassen's career because of how young he was when he won that world title. And it's difficult to, you know, he's only 41. Like, but he literally has a 20 plus year career, and he's had a 20-year career where everybody's known his name. You know, there are no, you know, you often find, you know, someone has played darts for 20 years. People have only heard of them for the last 5. Like the first 15 years of their darts career. You know, there are, how many times do we see people get a tour card and we find out, oh shit, we've never heard of him before. Well, as he just started, as you know, he's 53. Like he's played for the last 30 odd years. And it's just Jelle was so good so quickly. You know, he's played the 2005 Winmore World Masters. He'll have had a 22-year career at playing at the top end of the game. So yeah, it's been a long and decent one. It's a shame, like, but it is what, you know, they come and go every year at this point, don't they?
Yeah, no, 100%. That was good. Mensur Suljovic revival continues. he's also like, he's putting in some big numbers. He's also going through the full repertoire of tricks. It's almost as if someone has put Mensur Suljovic in a time capsule. He's come back playing good darts, and he's got that big box of tricks out that we all know he has, and he's using everything at the same time.
He's going through the big box of wigs, I think, and he's trying out a new look, isn't he? But it's again, we see this, don't we? There's so many players that we've seen. It's like a false, it's a false positive, isn't it? It's a false resurgence, and you see a little bit of it, and you see what you suspect could be the sort of roots of them starting to get towards their former level and their former glory, but I don't know. He, at the end of the day, he's outside of the world top 50. I'm not sure how well it can be sustained. Like we see them, all these big players and players that have been around forever. They've all still got the game there somewhere. And the problem is they just can't find it often enough. And I don't know if we'll see. I don't know if we'll see a more sustained run from him. I'm not sure he's got it in him left.
No, look, I don't disagree. Have we missed anything else in a week of darts and things like that? It's been busy, I know that.
Yeah, it feels busy, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Very busy at the minute. But we're on the run up to silly season and all, aren't we? This is the quiet part of the year, don't forget, Phil.
Yeah.
This is the quiet part.
So as a brand, we are streaming 8 days in a row.
8 days a week.
We got today, tomorrow, Wednesday, Euro Tour qualifier, Thursday Fallout Bar, Euro Tour Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday Live Lounge. Casual.
Tell you what, they can't complain that we're not keep pumping out the content, can they?
Can't complain we're not giving value for money.
They'll never get us. It costs nothing to subscribe to this either.
Yeah.
It's nothing outrageous. It's incredible value. Outrageous. We need a paywall.
Hit those 48k. Next stop is the 50 mark. We are past. We're
going to hit it for the match play, aren't we, Philip?
Yeah, 100%.
We're hitting 50 for the match play.
Rob, it was yes, but like I said on the stream, at the moment, yes, Danny has been suspended. At the moment, it's an allegation. Like we have with all the others, we will comment once it's either innocent or guilty. At the moment, it is just purely a suspension. It's happened. Let's see what the due process brings.
My solicitors told me I'm not allowed.
We've been fairly constant with that throughout the others. So,
yeah, I think that is, once we know the ins and outs, then we can have a view. But until then, I think it's a dangerous.
That's a good point. Before we go, how are they fitting that on the scoreboard at Ali Pally?
Nicknames, isn't it?
Is that, remember when Chelsea signed Aspilicueta and they kept calling him Dave because they couldn't pronounce it? Who's playing left back? Dave.
Yeah. I mean, there's some clever people that work in that department. They'll come up with something.
They'll come up with something funky. Everyone, what a show it has been. Thank you so much to our guest, Mr. Matthew Edgar. It was a pleasure to have him on. It was a fairly late thing as well. They messaged me and went, you got room Monday? Yes, done. It's what we do.
We got so much room, we kicked someone off for him.
Yeah. Remember, this will be available as an audio only in the morning from wherever you watch your podcasts. If you haven't yet, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. We massively appreciate all the support. We'll be back live 1 p.m. tomorrow. Players' Championship 18. Can Luke Humphries go back-to-back after a dominant display today? We will find out. But until then, I've been Phil Bars, Dan Simpson. We have been Online Darts, and we'll see you all very, very soon.